Good afternoon. This is a noisy, excited crowd. Welcome, everyone. This is the Capital Investment Committee, and the date is Tuesday, April 4th. And welcome. This might be our last bill, and we see that some of our members have already started spring break. Maybe they'll be joining us, or they're in other committees. Senator Murphy, babies rule around here, so we're taking Senator Maye Quade first. Senator Maye Quade. All you have to tell me is I need to get home to my baby, and you get to go first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate File 445, this is to address two emergency projects that are very critical to the Minnesota Zoo, the Animal Hospital and the Lakeside Plaza. Both of these pieces have human and animal safety and health impacts. These are funding requests that the zoo has brought forth in previous years, and with each passing year, these become more and more urgent. I'm going to have Director Frawley just give a brief and high-level overview of why these are needed.
Welcome, Director.
Madam Chair, committee members, John Frawley, Minnesota Zoo. Also with us is Missy McGrath, our legislative director, is with us today. Senator Maye Quade, thank you for that introduction. Madam Chair, just a little bit about the Minnesota Zoo for the committee. Our mission at the Minnesota Zoo is to connect people to animals in the natural world to save wildlife. The zoo is 44 years old, so we are not a new zoo anymore, and we are also the fifth largest zoo in the country with over almost 500 acres and 4,000 animals. We serve about 1.3 million guests annually and have about a 40,000 household membership. So we're a big zoo, and we are a unique state agency in the fact that in our general fund, we receive about 1/3 of our funding from the state, and 2/3 we raise ourselves through earned revenue business operations. So we're proud of that partnership. We're also proud that Minnesota loves this zoo, and they have for those 44 years. The other thing I think that we're very proud of at the zoo is the new program that we have for access, a new special program. It's called Free to Explore, where if you qualify for general assistance or economic assistance in the state of Minnesota, you come to the Minnesota Zoo for free. So we're proud to be a free zoo to those Minnesotans who need us to be free. Over the years, that's grown to over 100,000 people for free every single year. So we're very proud of that. Related?
Madam Chair, we have a beautiful slideshow if they want to put it on the screen.
Yep, I don't think it's activated yet.
As long as it fits within the 4 minutes.
Yep,
it will.
It does. Our bonding request this year has two major projects, as the Senator has outlined. One is an animal hospital, which is a $10 million request. The project itself is a $20 million project, but we are hoping to match those funds with private support. The second project is for a Lakeside Plaza. It's a $15.12 million project, and also we are asking for a little bit of general assistance of 1.68. Total request $26.8 million. To go into a little bit of detail of these two projects, our vet hospital, like I said, it was one of the first buildings built at the Minnesota Zoo. It has not been modernized. As you can see here, the surgical room has not changed in over 46 years. A lot of our procedures are not able to be done in this hospital due to air handling and other lack of modernization. So on the left, you see a picture of us doing a lot of our routines in the field in habitats, which is not where we want to be doing our work. So it's important that we, after all these years, upgrade this hospital or build a new hospital so that we can approach these procedures more professionally. The exterior of the hospital is not able to be used. You can see here on the picture on the left, holding spaces that are antiquated and not safe to use. And the photo on the right shows a modern hospital would have a heated garage to load and bring animals and patients in and out. None of that was built originally with this hospital, so it's pretty hard to navigate the Minnesota winters. The second project that we are asking support for is the Lakeside Plaza. For those of you who have been to the Minnesota Zoo, it's the main lake is in the middle of the zoo. It's kind of what we call the heart of the zoo. Over the years, the main plaza has been, which is a cantilevered plaza, has been sagging into the lake and needs full repair. So without this repair, the egress, the access, and the pedestrian traffic through the zoo would be jeopardized. These photos show you a couple of the infrastructure concerns. We've been told by structural engineers that this has a very short lifespan, and we need to address these problems as soon as possible. And we've been working on this project for over 5 years for support. So Madam Chair, this is our total request: $10 million for the animal hospital, 16.8 for asset preservation, including that Lakeside Plaza. Both are critical emergency projects, and appreciate the time in front of the committee and open to any questions if you have.
Senator Maye Quade has the A1 amendment offered by Senator Pah. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion prevails. Thank you very much, and thank you for the presentation today.
Thank
and
you,
I've
Madam Chair.
been there, and I know you need that plaza replaced.
Thank you.
All right. Senator Murphy. Senator Murphy, are you starting with Film North?
Yes, Madam
All
Chair, I think that Hattie is a beautiful baby, and I'm happy to take second space following
289.
Senator Maye Quade. And I also will say that I think you are an incredibly tenacious chair, taking up this hearing just 2 hours before the recess. And with that, Madam Chair, I'm here to talk with you about Senate File 289, a bill that invests in Film North, placed in the cultural corridor on the very, very western part of St. Paul. It is an emerging corridor that is full of vibrant retail and the heart of a new arts cultural center in St. Paul. And with that, I'm so happy to have two testifiers with me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And introduce yourself for the record.
I'm Bethany Gladhill. I'm the Business Affairs Director for Film North. Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the committee for hearing our testifying. I'll just speak quickly to the building. The building is an adaptive use of a historic Clarence Johnson warehouse, which is a fairly rare situation. We're used to him thinking about big buildings on the U of M campus or Glen Sheen or things. This shows the kind of development that was in the area at that time, but adapted to be completely energy efficient, to be a really great space for our education center that will keep Film North a neighborhood, as well as other creative offices on the second and third floors. This will include D&O Architects, who are the architects for the building, and other creative elements. It's a unique partnership between Film North, which is a 501c3, and D.O. Architects that will keep the building on the property tax rolls. It leverages a number of elements, including private fundraising, historic tax credits, new market tax credits, and hopefully this bond. And most of all, it's shovel-ready. We are ready to go. We are set. The tax credits are closed upon. We have shovels waiting in the building. We're set to go. I'll let Andrew speak to our programming, which is really important for the building because it's nothing without what we do.
Great, welcome. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you. I'm Andrew Peterson. I'm the Executive Director of Film North. And thank you, Madam Chair and committee members, for letting us speak today. Film North is a national leader in media arts education, professional development, and workforce training. It's a $500 billion national industry and employs people in places like Best Buy, Target, Mayo Clinic, and others that have in-house media departments. We serve media artists at all stages of their career, starting with our youth programs, where over 60% of participants are kids of color, and over 80% qualify for free or reduced lunch. They advance through our programs and training to join Minnesota's dynamic film industry. Our new center, as Bethany mentioned, is a shovel-ready $13 million adaptive reuse project that expands our current footprint by 33% and incorporates a state-of-the-art cinema, more classrooms and resources, and an outdoor plaza that adds much-needed green space to the neighborhood. This growth will enable us to expand upon existing programs that serve underrepresented communities and offer much-needed support to existing BIPOC-led film organizations like the Arab American, Hmong, and Indigenous film festivals, along with the In the Footsteps of Gordon Park's screening series. All our current partners all don't have a home to show their films and to engage with their communities. They'll do so at Film North. Along with that, we also work with a number of theater companies, dance companies that all incorporate media into their practices. That's it for us. Just if you have any questions, I wanted to thank you again for giving us the opportunity to testify today and for your time, and happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Just a reminder to everyone to make sure you submit your MMB forms to us on your projects. And Senator Nelson.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I only heard part of what you said. I'm hoping you can repeat. What did you say that this company has done with Mayo Clinic? I thought I heard you mention that.
We've
Mr.
worked with Warren Harmon and others, and has been on our board and others, but I mentioned that Mayo Clinic, along with Target Invest, I have robust in-house media divisions that need new talent coming up in Minnesota, workers to come in and work and create content that is used both internally and also to tell those organizations stories to the rest of the world. It's not just commercials, it's in-house, it's a lot of documentary work and other things.
Thank you, Madam
All
Chair.
right. Thank you very much. Senator Murphy, 1304.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I am delighted to come and talk with you about Senate File 1304, which is the Keystone Community Services request for $2.6 million in state funds to construct and renovate the acquired site on University Avenue. This is a facility that is serving people in Ramsey County and St. Paul in a period of high food insecurity, and I am delighted to have a testifier with me who can tell you more about this project. It's an amazing facility.
Welcome, and introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you. Chair Pappas and members, my name is Mary McEwen, and I'm President and CEO of Keystone Community Services. And we are a 83-year-old nonprofit organization that has been serving St. Paul and Ramsey County for many, many years, supporting youth, families, and seniors. We are here in support of Senate File 1304, which requests $2.6 million in state funding for a 20,000 square foot community food site that will support 50,000 people with healthy food. We are the largest food shelf provider in the East Metro. Since last year, the number of new participants, as Senator Murphy mentioned, the increase in food security has gone off the charts here in the state of Minnesota. We've had triple the number of new participants coming to our food shelves, and the number of visits to our food shelves increased 80%. We are operating out of two very small leased spaces that simply can't stand up to the kind of participation we are seeing. The new community food site will function like a community center on University Avenue with more room to offer community programming, as well as a much larger food market area and a large warehouse area to store food and other donated household items. Unfortunately, over the last couple years, we've had to say no to donations because we simply don't have the space to store them, either the fresh items, frozen items, or even some of the canned items that we just don't have the room for. A garage on site at the center will also house our two food mobiles that go out into the community and bring food to people that have a hard time getting to one of our sites. It'll also house our grocery delivery program that brings food to older adults in the community. We currently have a waiting list of 50 people because we simply don't have the space to expand. At the new site, we'll be able to double the amount of food from 2 million pounds a year to 4 million pounds a year. We will be able to add more volunteers to be able to help us do this work. We now rely on over 2,000 volunteers to support us. And we'll be able to provide household items. I call it your Target bag. So laundry soap, soap for yourself, shampoo, all of those items, toilet paper that cost a lot of money on top of the food that people are having to pay for. And food is more expensive than it has been in many, many years. We'd like to thank Senator Murphy, Senator Pappas, and Senator Housley for their supporting our project over the years. We have raised $8.1 million of the $10.7 million needed. We are shovel ready, like the former folks that were up here. We are ready to go. This project is been funded by many, many supporters from the community, as well as many of our local foundations and the city of St. Paul. And the passage of this bill will help us start construction immediately. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Great. Thank you for being here today. Senator Murphy, Senate File 1966.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am particularly excited about this project, and each of these that we're talking about today are places that I have spent time, and so I'm really enthusiastic about each of the projects that you're hearing today. Senate File 1966 is St. Paul's Mississippi River Learning Center. The Mississippi River Learning Center combines mixed-use, river-focused space and a National Park Service headquarters at the Crosby Farm Regional Park, serving as a national gateway to the Mississippi River with year-round learning and outdoor recreation experiences on and along the St. Paul, the patch of the Mississippi River in St. Paul. If you spent any time in this site, you will understand why it is such a gem and such an important investment for us. And I'm really delighted that Mr. Rodriguez is here to talk a little bit more about the bill.
Thank you, Senator. Good afternoon, Chair Pappas and committee members. My name is Andy Rodriguez. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director for the City of St. Paul. Grateful to be here to speak in support of Senate File 1966. As a city and region, we aim to bring greater awareness to the river's place in our history and culture by increasing access to the river across a larger, more diverse community. The River Learning Center, which will also serve as the headquarters for the National Park Service and host a visitor center, will be a 35,000 square foot, one-of-a-kind national hub of Mississippi River-focused recreation, education, environmental stewardship, and more. Designing public spaces that take advantage of our location on America's Fourth Coast will provide more opportunities for residents and visitors to connect with the river and promote both the physical and mental health of our communities. It's perfectly situated at Crosby Regional Farm Park, which is a strategic 25-acre city-owned site, sitting at the convergence of key cultural, historical, ecological, recreational, and developmental sites, with MSP Airport, Mall of America, and Fort Snelling nearby. Ton of momentum over the last 5 years for this project. Started in 2017 with a technical study, feasibility analysis in 2018, and a program survey in 2019. In cooperation with the Mississippi Park Connection, Wilderness Inquiry, the Great River Passage Conservancy, we co-fundraised partnership funds and co-fundraised for a campaign in partnership in 20 and 21, raising public and private funds for schematic design that we just completed this past October. So we're really working towards that first phase, and our ask in front of you today is for $23.5 million. That would start phase one of this project. That would involve reconfiguration of the site, additional design analysis and construction documents, and really kick the project off into the future.
Mr. Rodriguez, what's the total cost of the project?
The total cost is $66 million. It's a big price tag, and why that is there's two buildings, one situated at the top of the bluff that will act as a trailhead, and then the actual River Learning Center would be down the road in the true Crosby Farm Regional Park. Also, it is a complicated site with the natural amenities that exist within it and our existing marina that would need to be relocated. So a lot of work to get there, and funding will come from many numerous sources, both public and private.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I do believe that this will become a national destination right here in St. Paul. So it's a beautiful site. Thank you.
Senator Murphy, 2731.
$27.30?
2730, sorry.
Thank
Whoops.
you.
This is 31.
So this is the Geo bond one, the 2730 is.
Oh, okay, that's GF, all right, great.
All right, thank you,
Same
Madam
bill.
Chair. I am really happy to be here today with Mr. Ben Johnson to talk with you about the need to invest in Building 6 at the Minneapolis Veterans Home. Very early in January, I was able to join a number of people at the Minneapolis Veterans Home for a tour, and while much of that facility has been renovated and is state-of-the-art, Building 6 is out of commission, has suffered flooding, and it is a space that desperately needs our attention, that will serve our veterans well when we invest in it, and I'm happy to introduce or share or have our witness join me.
Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Senator Pappas, members of the committee, Senator Murphy, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Ben Johnson. I'm the Legislative Director for the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs. Over the past 15 years, Minnesota Veterans Home in Minneapolis has undergone a phased transformation of its residential facilities from an outdated institutional model of care into a resident-focused facility that provides our veterans with the care and dignity that they deserve. This is a transformation that has occurred throughout the long-term care industry and has been embraced throughout the VA's system of long-term care. Originally constructed in 1905, the women's residence, Building 6 is a 3-story U-shaped brick structure on a raised limestone foundation. It features multiple 2-story colossal porches or porticos and is designated as a contributing historic structure to the campus of the Minnesota Veterans Home, which is also referred to as the Minnesota Soldiers Home Historic District on the National Register of Historic Places. Building 6 was vacated in March of 2017, and all 91 residents receiving skilled care were moved to Building 22, which is a new 100-bed building on the Minneapolis Veterans Home campus. As mentioned, currently houses no residents and does not meet current building safety, health, and code requirements. In the intervening 6 years, despite our best efforts, building continues to deteriorate both inside and out. Agency continues to incur a significant cost to heat, cool, and provide regular maintenance to the building while receiving little benefit or use of the building. Once state and federal funding is secured, the remodeling and rehab of Building 6 would add an additional 39 nursing home resident accommodations to the Minneapolis campus, while assuring reuse and preservation of a significant contributing historic cultural resource on the Minneapolis Veterans Home campus. Project includes the interior demolition and remodeling of Building 6 into a contemporary resident-focused nursing home. Building design would follow the VA's small house design guide. Resident rooms would be designed as a single occupancy with private ensuite bathrooms and showers. And households would be composed of 13 resident rooms to include lounges, activity centers, serving kitchen, dining area, and variety of support areas. The ground floor of Building 6 connects directly to Building 19, which is the campus's main entrance, administration, and activities core. Again, the exterior of the building needs a significant restoration to ensure it can maintain the historical style. As part of the project, mechanical systems would be relocated from the roof to the first floor to enhance preventative maintenance and equipment longevity. Without intervention, Building 6 will continue to degrade and require increased maintenance. Rehab of the building and installation of modern energy-efficient systems will allow Building 6 to continue as a valuable asset. Based on the current waiting list, there is a significant demand for veterans desiring to live within the state's Veterans Home system. With limited availability of land and facilities in the metro area, remodeling Building 6 would provide much-needed accommodations within an existing campus that has been specifically created for this purpose. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
And thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. We certainly need to take care of our veterans. Senate File 2928.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am so happy to take over the authorship of this proposal that you have been a champion of for such a long time, which is a proposal that would appropriate funding to the YWCA in St. Paul for capital investment in the 9 multifamily properties it uses in its supportive housing program and to serve homeless families. This bill would also provide funding for significant repairs at its main office on Selby Avenue in St. Paul, where it operates its human services programs in supportive housing, employment, services, and youth development. The YWCA St. Paul has been providing critically needed services in St. Paul and Ramsey County since 1907, and today it is an important part of the safety net for our community members struggling with poverty, homelessness, and unemployment. The YWCA St. Paul has been deeply rooted in the Rondo community for many years and has focused in human services programs on areas of critical need in the community. While open to everyone, the YWCA St. Paul's program participants are primarily from communities of color, with 90% identifying as African Americans. I'm really pleased to support this legislation, and I'm grateful that you're here to join me today.
Thank you so much, Senator Murphy. Madam Chair and members of the committee, good afternoon. My name is Jessica Fowler, and I manage the 9 properties used in YWCA St. Paul supportive housing programs. Thank you for hearing testimony SF 2928. I'd like to share a brief story of a young mother in our housing program, and we'll call her Cherie. Cherie experienced homelessness, domestic violence, family addiction, trauma, and mental health struggles starting in childhood and throughout her life. When she was a mother of 3 and homeless because of domestic violence, Cherie was accepted into our YWCA St. Paul's Transitional Housing Program, where she received customized support services to help her stabilize her life, build new skills, and connect her to community. Cherie was determined that her children would have a better life. With support from YWCA St. Paul, Cherie returned to school and graduated college with a degree in nursing. She was offered a full-time position as a nurse at the hospital where she interned. Cherie has secured a future of safe and stable housing, increased her income to be financially stable, and gained the confidence she needs for future success. Cherie is actively working to break the generational cycle of poverty and trauma she experienced, and to provide a stable and loving home for her children. For Cherie and others, achieving housing stability is fundamental for family stability, as well as the success in school and employment. YWCA St. Paul has been providing critically needed supportive housing to homeless families for decades. SF 2928 will authorize funding for repairs to the 9 YWCA St. Paul buildings that provide families like Cherie's a safe place to live as they build long-term stability for their families. It will also fund critically needed restoration or repairs to YWCA St. Paul's main site where staff run our supportive housing, employment, and youth development programs. YWCA's housing and other programs are a critical part of the safety net in St. Paul and Ramsey County. We are rooted in the Rondo community. Focus our programs are low-income and very low-income people from communities of color, more than 90% whom are African American, and work tirelessly to address the critical needs of families to strengthen our community. Our buildings need investment to continue this important work. We have started repair work on the housing properties with funding from Hardenberg Foundation and the City of St. Paul. This funding would allow us to finish the work. We ask for your support of the SF 2928, and I thank you for allowing me to testify today.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. What's the total cost of all the rehabilitation you're doing?
It's $2,317,000.
That's your request, but what's the total cost of the entire project? You said you've already started and spent some dollars?
This is the rest of the total cost. We spent $250,000 so far.
Okay, so the total cost is just about 2.5.
Yes.
Usually we only do a 50% payment for the project, so just so you're aware. Also, you have 9 facilities. How many units do you have then?
59 total.
59 units. Fantastic. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have the inclusive playground
Thank you.
project.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project is one of a number of emerging projects that, when built, assure that a playground in St. Paul will be accessible to all children regardless of ability. We've seen something like this in Apple Valley and in Fridley, and the idea of inclusive playgrounds for children of all abilities is critical. I think it's time to do this in St. Paul, and I'm delighted to have a testifier to join me to talk about why this is so important for her family.
Okay. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Yorkinoy Shermatova. I'm a resident of St. Paul, and I have a child who is 10 years old and who is autistic. Families with children with disabilities often face numerous barriers to inclusion, as many settings are not adequately designed to accommodate the diverse needs and rights of all children and families. Playgrounds, however, should not be one of those settings. They are spaces where children gather to experience joy, develop new skills, and form friendships. They also provide an opportunity for parents like me to connect with one another and foster a sense of belonging within our communities. My son Servar, who is turning 11 this year, struggles with overstimulation. To self-regulate, he tends to elope and seek out quiet spaces away from others. This has led to numerous incidents where he has run off without looking, endangering himself by getting too close to the roads. Consequently, we often drive miles away from our community to find playgrounds that feel safer for our family, ones that are situated further from the traffic. As Servar becomes a faster runner, which is a good thing, but at the same time, our concern for his safety has been only growing. We believe that desire to visit a playground and feel safe and included is not too much to ask. By constructing inclusive and accessible playgrounds, we teach our children, all the children in the communities, the importance of building inclusive and accessible societies as they grow up. It's our family's dream to live in such a society, and these playgrounds send a powerful message that all children and families matter. I do hope you will support this project to create accessible and inclusive playgrounds in St. Paul that accommodates the needs of all children, including those with disabilities, including those like Servar. This will not only promote safety and inclusion, but will also foster a sense of community that I do believe benefits everyone.
Thank you very much. Director Rodriguez, did you want to add anything?
No, she did a great job. I'd just say the full ask is about $5 million.
Okay.
And Madam
Thank you.
Chair, I just want to say that inclusive playgrounds would help ensure that no one is left out and it will support the developmental needs of the whole child, including physical, cognitive, sensory, and social development. I remember vividly my children at playgrounds across St. Paul. And they're meant to challenge our kids. They're meant to grow our kids' skills, but they shouldn't be built in such a way that some kids are just left out. And the purpose of this is to make sure that we're building something that is inclusive for everyone. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Senator Murphy. Senator Putnam, 2240. Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the committee. Senate File 2240 provides some resources to St. Cloud Regional Airport to make it a little bit safer and a little bit more cost-effective. I'm not going to go into the actual details because they're pretty technical, but gratefully we have a friend here who can explain things that need to be explained. But in the meantime, Madam Chair, I'd like to move the A1 amendment, if I may, please. Or have the A1 amendment offered.
Senator Powell will move the A1 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion prevails. And welcome, Mr. Towell. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Senator Pappas and members of the committee. My name is Bill Towell. I'm the Executive Director of the St. Cloud Regional Airport Authority. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak today. I also want to thank Senator Putnam for carrying this very important safety project. The St. Cloud Regional Airport is a regionally significant airport with a $49 million economic impact. This project consists of replacing and relocating the Precision Instrument Landing System, or ILS, and the approach lighting system. Both systems are almost 40 years old, and the manufacturer no longer makes these models, nor do they make replacement parts for them. The ILS and the approach lighting system work in concert with each other to guide aircraft to the runway, especially in inclement weather. These systems simply need to work for safety, but also for reliability. The Central Minnesota region relies on the ability of aircraft to get in and out of the St. Cloud Regional Airport to conduct business, not to mention the passengers on the commercial air carrier that need to get to and from their destination. We have a unique situation at STC where we have what is called a displaced threshold, whereby there's 500 feet of pavement that can be used for takeoff, but not for landing. Again, when landing, the ILS and approach lighting system guide the aircraft to the threshold of the runway, and right now, it guides them to the old threshold of the runway before we extended the runway back in 2015. You'll see it in the diagram on the handout. That's why we need to take advantage of this opportunity to replace them at the same time, so we can also relocate them and do away with this displaced threshold. If relocated, the glide slope antenna, a component of the ILS, will guide the aircraft to the new threshold of the runway, effectively providing an additional 500 feet of critical runway. If we don't replace them at the same time, we simply won't relocate them. As you can see from the handout, there is support from the Federal Aviation Administration and MnDOT Aeronautics. These projects qualify for airport construction grants from MnDOT Aeronautics, but they simply don't have enough funding to help us replace both at the same time. So we are coming to you with a request to help us fund the approach lighting system piece. Additionally, FAA will provide about $1 million in funding for items eligible for federal funding. Thank you for allowing me to testify, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, Mr. Tull, what's the total cost of the project?
Approximately $6 million.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I appreciated learning about this on Zoom.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Putnam. And she's online. Senator McEwen.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Senator McEwen, and where are you joining us from?
I am joining you from Duluth.
All right, thank you very much. Go ahead and proceed.
Thank you very much. First on my list, I have Senate File 1419.
The Lake Superior Zoo, right? Go ahead.
That's correct. That's correct, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and members, I'm pleased to present Senate File 1419, which provides funding for Lake Superior Zoo's asset protection. Lake Superior Zoo is the 19th oldest zoo in the United States. The zoo is home to over 30 threatened or endangered animals and hosts families and school groups for fun learning all year long. Here to testify with me is the CEO of Lake Superior Zoo, Haley Hedstrom.
And welcome, Ms. Hedstrom. Please just re-identify yourself for the record.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. My name is Haley Hedstrom. I am the CEO at the Lake Superior Zoo, and I want to thank you for this opportunity, as well as Senator McEwen for her support in this bill. As a 100-year-old institution with infrastructure that is quite similar in age, some of those being built during the WP era, this funding for asset preservation would help with critical updates to our facility. Projects such as resurfacing pathways, LED lighting updates, and HVAC work would improve accessibility, increase operating efficiency, and prioritize the well-being of our safety and staff, animals, and guests. We have made many updates as our current budget allows and prioritize those that would ensure our continued accreditation with the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. Still, there is more to be done at this historical facility. The zoo has a rich history in our community of supporting education, tourism, and conservation. Our impact spans much further than just within the 16-acre footprint of our zoo. We travel within a 2.5-hour radius of Duluth with our Zoomobile, teaching people of all ages about animals from their own backyard and even across the world. Children are able to learn about animals from Minnesota and meet education ambassadors such as turtles, snakes, and even Eddie the armadillo. You might ask, how does this connect to asset preservation? Well, we need reliable HVAC infrastructure to keep our animals warm without fear of a furnace going out in the cold Minnesota winters. We also seek to reduce our environmental impact and expenditures on utilities through LED and solar upgrades. In recent years, we have seen an increase of tourists visiting the zoo from all over the state of Minnesota as well. While on grounds, visitors make lasting memories that are rooted in connections with wildlife and nature, that foster empathy for animals and provide actionable ways that they can make a difference. Improving the zoo through preservation projects such as resurfacing and repair of pathways will ensure that our facility is accessible to people of all abilities. We continue to make investments in conservation through our certified wildlife habitats throughout 3 garden locations at the zoo, participate in collaborative efforts, and donate a portion of our symbolic adoption revenue to different environmental organizations each month. As we celebrate our 100-year anniversary, I want to again say how crucial this funding is to invest in asset preservation at the Lake Superior Zoo. It will help preserve a historic facility that has been a part of the Duluth community for a century, while ensuring we are able to continue to work to expand our impact through education and experiences for generations to come. I'll leave it open to any questions at this time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hedstrom, for joining us today. Senator McEwen, Senate Bill 2626, the aquarium.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members, for hearing Senate File 2626, a capital investment appropriation for the Great Lakes Aquarium in Duluth. For the past 22 years, the Great Lakes Aquarium has been delivering freshwater education for our state, focused on engaging, inspiring, and encouraging stewardship of wildlife and water. Here to tell us more about the aquarium and this capital request is Executive Director Jay Walker.
Welcome, Mr. Walker. Just please re-identify yourself.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. Thank you for sharing your time with me today, and thank you, Senator McEwen, who is safely in Duluth, where I'll be hopefully shortly. Thank you for your support with this bill. My name is Jay Walker. I'm the Executive Director at the Great Lakes Aquarium. Great Lakes Aquarium is a nonprofit organization based in Duluth, Minnesota, that was charged by the legislator with delivering freshwater education. Today, 22 years after we opened on Duluth waterfront, we are still focused on engaging, inspiring, and encouraging stewardship of water and wildlife. It's an exciting time for us. Attendance has increased by 75% over the past 10 years, and in 2022, we had more than 200,000 people visit the aquarium and participate in programs. Our educational offerings expanded to include opportunities for youth and adults of all ages, and we serve 10,000 K through 12th grade students and reach another 10,000 through our outreach and teacher resources every year. We actively collaborate with partners throughout the state on freshwater and Great Lakes education. Our capital infrastructure projects will improve accessibility and safety, increase efficiency in our lighting system, and reduce our water consumption by 30%. It'll allow us to replace our obsolete ozone system, which is a critical component of the health and safety of our aquatic animals. Early childhood learning programs have outgrown our current shared classroom space, and this funding will allow us to build a new classroom which will meet the demands and the specific needs of this age group. The Great Lakes Aquarium has reached a threshold where demand exceeds the original building capacity. The support will allow us to plan for future expansion of exhibit galleries, workspace, and program opportunities for further engage our guests in science discovery and stewardship. Great Lakes Aquarium is poised for growth and is seeking support to move from a successful local attraction to a vibrant regional culture experience. Thank you for your consideration of Senate File 2626, and I welcome your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walker. And I have visited the aquarium. Very enjoyable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator McEwen, Senate File 2189, the Duluth Airport.
Very good. Thank you, Chair Pappas and members for hearing Senate File 2189. This is a capital request of $14 million from the Duluth International Airport in my district. The Duluth International Airport currently has one of the oldest air traffic control towers in the United States. The Federal Infrastructure Act created a program for airports like Duluth to replace these aging facilities. In fact, the federal government will pay for up to 90% of the project. This request will help Duluth with their local match. With me today is Airport Director of Operations, Mark Popko.
Welcome, Mr. Popko.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the members of the Capital Investment Committee. And thank you, Senator McEwen, for your leadership and advocacy on this important role. As Senator McEwen, my name is Mark Popko, Director of Operations with the Duluth Airport Authority. The Duluth International Airport provides a vital service to Northeast Minnesota with a unique traffic mix of commercial passenger service, cargo, medical, and military flights totaling 67,000 annual operations. Duluth is home to Cirrus Aircraft, the Minnesota Air National Guard's 148th Fighter Wing, Monaco Air Duluth, Lake Superior College's Center for Advanced Aviation, and passenger service providers such as Delta, United, and Minnesota's own Sun Country Airlines. Duluth is a center of gravity for an aviation cluster that contributes $760 million annually to the region's economy and provides over 6,000 jobs to our area. For perspective, MnDOT studied the annual economic impact of the state's 135 public airports in 2019, excluding Minneapolis and its reliever airports. Duluth is 76% of the total $1.6 billion annual economic impact of outstate airports in Minnesota. Over $111 million in infrastructure investments have been completed in the past 10 years at Duluth. Another $144 million in infrastructure renewal projects are planned through 2030. To sustain the growth of air commerce and services that are essential to Northeast Minnesota, a new air traffic control facility is critical to maintaining efficiency and safety. Duluth's unique mix of fast-moving military jets, research and development flights, slower-moving recreational aircraft, helicopters, commercial air service create a complex airspace where air traffic controllers, quarterback movement are vital to aviation safety. The Duluth International Airport's air traffic control tower is 70 years old and at the end of its useful life. According to the FAA, it's one of only 26 locally owned air traffic control facilities that are staffed by federal air traffic controllers. Duluth Tower has the distinction of being the third oldest air traffic control tower in the country. Historically, there has not been a federal program to fund the replacement of locally owned air traffic control towers. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act passed by Congress established a competitive grant program to fund the replacement of locally owned air traffic facilities. This $5 billion program provides a 5-year window to secure funding that will pay up to 95% of eligible costs to construct a new $52 million air traffic control tower in Duluth. We are asking the state legislature to help us leverage a considerable federal investment by providing $14 million in funding. The state's investment will provide 5% matching funds for the $38 million federal grant application. It will also enable final design of the new facility, commission the FAA to participate in the design process, and the demolition of 3 blighted buildings to make way for the new tower. The state's investment in this project will help secure funding that would not otherwise come to Minnesota. We are poised to support the next generation of air commerce in our region. A state-of-the-art air traffic facility will ensure that Duluth supports safe air travel for decades to come. Thank you for considering our project and your work on behalf of the residents of our state. I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Popko. Could you just be clear if the new tower is $38 million And then the 14 million is to demolish 3 blighted buildings, to make way for the new tower and environmental assessment. What's the total cost then of everything?
Madam Chair, it's $52 million. So
Okay.
a $38 million federal ask and a $14 million state
All right.
ask.
Great. That was simple math. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then we have 2296, Regional Behavioral Health Crisis Facility.
Yes,
we have an
thank you,
amendment.
Madam Chair. And I do have an amendment, yes. Would you like me to
Yeah, Senator
describe the
Powell will
amendment
offer the
first?
A1 amendment. Everything is increasing in cost. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion prevails. Senator McEwen.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members. St. Louis County has been at the table and testifying at the legislature on the need for funding a regional crisis center to meet some of the significant unmet behavioral health needs in our region since 2016. We were successful in the DHS application process that resulted from initial bonding awards, and yet the collaborative regional behavioral health center that was envisioned by the region to respond to the very real needs has been difficult to fit into traditional bond funding mechanisms. This legislation now, as it has just been amended today, represents that final piece of the recent evolution of St. Louis County's continued effort to address the serious mental health problems plaguing our region. And I would just note also for the committee, so the amendment that was just passed did just a couple of things, but they're important things. One is that it changed the location of the planned facility to the Duluth's Human Development Center of their 4th Street Clinic. It is also a $1 million increase from the original appropriation that was asked for in the bill. But essentially, the county is canceling $5 million in GO bonds that had been already approved, but which are no longer appropriate because of the change of this plan, and instead is only asking for this $2.5 million in cash. Just for a little bit of background, the county had been originally advocating for a plan and secured the $5 million in GO bonds through earlier bonding bills, but unfortunately, when COVID hit, a lot of things shifted. The county lost its major partner in the original plan, and the project was essentially put on hold at that time. But of course, the need for a facility like this is really crucial and has not abated at all, and in fact perhaps has intensified. So the stakeholders in St. Louis County have sort of regrouped and tried to re-envision how we can make this happen and realize this project. They scaled the project back some. They found a new partner in the Human Development Center, and as a result now only need half of the money that they had originally envisioned for the project. So that's just a little bit of background detail on the ask in this bill has gone up, but overall the cost of the project has decreased. But here to join me to further describe this Regional Crisis Center proposal is 3rd District St. Louis County Commissioner Ashley Grimm of Duluth.
Welcome, Commissioner Grimm.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. So in addition to
Oops, she froze. Oh, no.
Senator McEwen's comments, in St. Louis County now is a need that is higher than ever with mental health and substance use. And so that's why I'm really excited that we're bringing this forward today, which is the request for the 2016 project, but now with the Human Development Center. And some things that are really exciting about the Human Development Center as the owner and core operator is that HDC is a St. Louis County-based community health center and our county's first certified comprehensive behavioral health clinic, which is a pretty hard accreditation to gather. And our core partners have also stayed engaged and will offer the services that were planned earlier. So partners including our local hospitals, colleges, nonprofits, a crisis response team who's doing really innovative work, And what this really means on the ground is that any person who needs immediate access to psychiatric or substance use resources will get it in St. Louis County. It's going to decrease our populations in the emergency room. It's going to give care that's affordable. It's low barrier. It's behavioral health care, primary care, specialty care, including dental services. And then those partnerships with the colleges are also going to meet the needs and address workforce challenges.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Grimm. I do have a question, which is, so you received this appropriation in 2016, and it was through a grant process? I'm trying to understand. Or was it directed an earmark in the 2016 bill?
So my best understanding is it was a DHS application process that resulted in an initial bonding award.
And if I may, Madam Chair, my information indicates that it was in 2018 and 2020.
Say it again.
The information I have, Madam Chair, is that the GEO bonds were part of 2018 and 2020 bonding bills.
And then have the bonds already been canceled? Not yet.
That's an excellent question. I do not know the mechanics of that, Madam Chair.
We'll
You
look
probably
into that. I don't recall hearing about this cancellation, so, but it could be coming. Because you usually have like a 4 or 5 year window, I think.
I believe we reached the end of the 5-year window, and that will reach officially in at the end of this year for that 3.7 million of the 5 million.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for joining today, and thank you, Senator McEwen. Next we have Senator Umu Verbaeten. We're a little bit behind, so we're going to have to move a little faster. Senate File 1520.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll try to be quick and leave the rest to my testifier. But Senate File 1520 would provide $22 million in funding to the Como Zoo. Como Zoo has been celebrated as the most visited cultural attraction in Minnesota with as many as 2.2 million visitors per year. It's free to visit. It's a very inclusive space, and it provides access to all. The visitors also come from all across the state of Minnesota, 42% from the metro, 22% from greater Minnesota, and the rest are coming from out of state. This bill is meant to specifically fund the design and construction of the Como Zoo Big Cat Habitat. That's an exhibit in need of repair. And Como Zoo has a legacy of providing world-class care of large cats like tigers and lions and cougars, and they've been doing this for decades.
And bears.
And bears. So speaking of that, Como Zoo was the first to breed and successfully raise tiger cubs in captivity, and today the zoo is also a leader in snow leopard species survival. So with that, I will pass it to Michelle Furr, the director of the Como Zoo, to share more details.
And welcome, Ms. Furr.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Michelle Furr. I am the director at Como Park Zoo and Conservatory. And with that 2.2 million visitors that was mentioned, we are the 11th most visited zoo in the country for our guests, and we are free of charge. We don't charge for special exhibits, new habitats, or any experiences, which contributes to the fondness of Como. Our visitors come from all over the state of Minnesota, as mentioned. Over 22% come from greater Minnesota, which is over 400,000 people per year. And since 1897, Como has cultivated these engaging experiences that spark curiosity, appreciation to our natural world. Our core education pillars is about ensuring lifelong learning, creating human-nature connections, and just being a welcoming and providing a sense of belonging for our community, as well as encouraging empathy through action through empathy. But not only is Como free for visitors, it attracts just a diverse group of visitors from racially, economically, and geographically. We are inclusive and provide access for all, whether it's creating those fun experiences that deepen that knowledge or making that connection to make sure that our animals and guests are well cared for. And at the core is all about learning. So we want to share those that we are sharing our experiences with. So our request today is for $22 million in asset preservation and betterment to the capital nature at exhibits for our big cat habitat. Como's over-century-old facility just needs updating to meet modern zoological practices, energy efficiency upgrades, and ADA requirements. This past summer, preparing for some preventative maintenance at our big hat habitat, we discovered that the 40-plus-year-old habitat had some structural integrity issues on our bridge, and we were forced to close the bridge. If you're not familiar with this habitat, it's a multi-layered with bridges that overlook the tigers and lions, as well as a second deck with our snow leopards and cougars. And one side of the building only has stairs to access. So imagine 2 million visitors and the number of strollers, wheelchairs, and just people who have a hard time with steps coming up. So we have been able to do some emergency funding to shore up those bridges, but this is just a temporary Band-Aid fix. And so we have pivoted our priorities for the project to relook at the Big Cat area. If we are not able to find a long-term solution for this, we will be forced to close just due to the ADA access issues for this area, which represents a sixth of our zoo space on the 14 acres that we have. So our mission is to inspire the public, and having these ambassador animals make connections that foster that appreciation, preservation, and conservation is all to the core that we do. And we are able to fulfill this effort with the support of you and helping keep Como free of charge for our visitors all day. So I want to thank you for your time today and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Scher, for joining us today.
Thank you.
We all love Como Zoo. Senate File 2148. The Animal Humane Society project.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this bill would provide $15 million in funding to support the construction of a new animal care campus, and that's for the Animal Humane Society in St. Paul. The project is really important for the entire state because pets are important to our families. More than 65% of Minnesota families include pets, and most people think of their pets as their family. I certainly do. The Animal Humane Society provides a vital safety net for the pets and people of Minnesota, and they're doing really great work. Each year they provide refuge, direct care, essential services, and they help nearly 100,000 animals in need across our state. In addition to adoption and surrender, many of their programs are devoted to helping people keep and care for their pets. So that includes outreach programs, specifically to underserved communities, low-cost veterinary services for pets of people in need, education and training programs, a pet food shelf, and temporary pet housing. In addition, the Animal Humane Society partners with local law enforcement agencies throughout the state to fight animal cruelty. And when animals are removed from an owner anywhere in the state due to cruelty or neglect, the Animal Humane Society guarantees care, housing, and placement for those animals at no cost to the state, county, or any municipalities. So before I turn things over to Lisa Bonds, who's the Chief Advancement Officer for the Animal Humane Society, I just want to note that you did receive a letter of support from Frogtown Neighborhood Association. They're one of the organizations that the Humane Society partners with to deliver services. And I think this project is it's just really great, and the building would be located in my district, and so I'm excited to hear more from Chief Officer Bonds.
Welcome, Ms. Bonds, and introduce yourself, please.
Certainly, thank you. I am Lisa Baumgartner Bonds, Chief Advancement Officer at Animal Humane Society. As Senator Verbatim noted, Animal Humane Society is an independent, nonprofit organization that's been serving Minnesota for over 140 years. Each year, we provide services to help nearly 100,000 animals and people across the state. This new facility will allow us to expand and further diversify our services offered across the state and at our 4 existing facilities. There is a fact sheet in your committee packet with details about the new facility, and I can't resist offering a few highlights. Our new community animal care campus will include space to care for 450 animals, a veterinary care center that will provide high-quality, low-cost care to community pets as well as shelter animals, space to expand our support for law enforcement and animals rescued from cruelty and neglect cases, programming space focused on keeping pets and people together, like temporary emergency pet housing for people who become unhoused, public spaces, including a humane education center and an indoor-outdoor dog park. Our project provides economic benefits to the state by creating 250 construction jobs and supporting 150 jobs at the new campus. This project's $45 million construction cost will be funded primarily through private donations, $20 million of which we've already secured. Given this project's extraordinary public benefit, we are seeking $15 million in one-time state funding to support the construction of this new facility. That's 1/3 of the total cost of the project. So I thank you for this opportunity to speak with you, and I urge you to support our project.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bonds, and thank you, Senator Verbaeten. Next, we have Senator Wicklund with Senate File 54. Okay. And we have the A1 amendment. Senator Paul offers the A1 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion prevails.
Thank you.
Senator Wicklund.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you for adopting the author's amendment. I really appreciate that. Madam Chair, Senate File 54 seeks to provide funding for the Wood Lake Nature Center. It's a very busy regional destination. Wood Lake Nature Center is deteriorating and must be replaced. Madam Chair, I personally want to thank you for recognizing the incredible value of this amazing asset to so many residents across the metro by placing it in your omnibus capital investment bill that is sitting at the Senate desk. I'm grateful for your recognition of this project, and I also want to thank Senate Capital Investment Committee members who toured the site last biennium. You know firsthand what a special place Wood Lake is. And I'd like to turn it over to my testifier, Amy Markle, to share further information.
Thank you, Senator Wicklund. Welcome, Ms. Markle.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Amy Markle, and I serve as the Recreation Services Director with the City of Richfield. It is my honor to testify in support of the Wood Lake Nature Center building project, and I thank you for including it in your previous all-cash bill and for coming out on a tour of the site. As you know, Richfield is a diverse community with a modest tax base. We are respectfully requesting $12 million in bonding funds to help support a new $24 million nature center that will restore a beloved regional amenity that annually draws hundreds of thousands of people from across the region and beyond. Wood Lake Nature Center is in the business of positively changing lives through the engagement, education, and connection between the community and nature. Having had the opportunity to teach environmental education and science programming there for over a decade, I was able to experience the joy students of all ages from across the region experience there daily. Whether it was taking a group of first graders snowshoeing across the frozen marsh from Lucy Laney Elementary School in North Minneapolis, to leading a group of disabled adults from Focus Beyond Transitions in St. Paul to tap trees to make maple syrup, Wood Lake provides the critically needed connection between people and nature. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention note that youth spend an average of 6 to 7.5 hours a day in front of a screen, and 1 in 6 Minnesota youth experience a mental health disorder each year. Wood Lake and places like it are needed now more than ever to offer students hands-on outdoor learning experiences that de-stress them from the daily challenges of life. Award-winning naturalists guide thousands of students and volunteers annually in programming and special events. The team is committed to understanding and removing the barriers that prevent people from accessing nature. The center offers a free to low-cost programming and is incredibly accessible by bus, bike, and car. Approximately 65% of people who attend programming and rent equipment are from outside of Richfield. The center will be 52 years old in a few weeks. It is in very rough shape and in drastic need of replacement. With the help of bonding funds, we will be able to construct a beautiful new facility that will secure the bright future that Wood Lake deserves.
Ms. Markle, the new facility will be on the same site or nearby? You're going to tear down the existing facility or build it nearby? I can't remember.
Yeah, we would tear down the existing facility, and the way the wetlands are delineated on the site, we'd be rebuilding in the same
location.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. I enjoyed my visit.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Hochschild is joining us on Zoom with Senate File 1634, the International Wolf Center, which we've also visited on bonding tours. Yep. And please, Senator Hochschild, identify your location for us.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. This is Senator Grant Hochschild, and I am in Hermantown, Minnesota.
Okay, proceed with your opening comments.
Thank you. I'm here to present Senate File 1634. This request is for the International Wolf Center located in Ely. The International Wolf Center opened in 1993 after bonding funds and donor support paid for the renovation of an old U.S. Forest Service visitor center to house the center's exhibit. After 30 years, the building and many of its systems are in need of replacement as they're approaching the end of their lifespan. This request is to replace many of these systems. The partnership between the DNR and the International Wolf Center is strong, and we want to keep it that way. One of the considerations that is put forth by the DNR is if this request could be part of the cash option in a potential capital investment bill. The DNR and the International Wolf Center could then move forward with a 20-year lease agreement with the Wolf Center, taking care of future maintenance and upkeep of the facility. However, if it's a general obligation bond, then the two entities would have to continue their ongoing 2-year lease agreement. With me today is the Executive Director of the International Wolf Center, Grant Spickelmeyer, to explain the requests and the upgrades needed to take care of this deferred maintenance for the facility. Thank you, Chair Pappas and committee members.
Thank you, Senator Hochschild, and welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Grant Spickelmeyer. I'm the Executive Director of the International Wolf Center. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you this afternoon about our request and for giving me an excuse to buy a wolf-themed tie. I appreciate that. The mission of the International Wolf Center is to advance the survival of wolf populations by educating people about wolves, their relationship to wildlands, and the human role in their future. For nearly 40 years, our organization has worked to help the public have a more informed understanding about wolves and wolf behavior and celebrate the legacy of wolves and wolf research here in Minnesota. We are a non-political, science-based education organization founded by Dr. L. David Meach, one of the world's most well-known and preeminent wolf biologists, who is still based here at the University of Minnesota. Founded in 1985, the International Wolf Center did not have a permanent home until 1993, when donations were combined with state funds to renovate an old U.S. Forest Service building into a one-of-a-kind visitor attraction and education facility that now sees 40,000 visitors each year and reaches tens of thousands more through virtual learning programs. The DNR is our facility manager and has worked with us over the years to make small repairs to the building using funds from our lease payments. Recently, however, several larger capital projects have arisen that the DNR has been unable to address. This includes a roof that's been leaking since 2014 and is threatening several public spaces, including our $1.3 million Discover Wolves exhibit. In January, we had to remove a 2,000-pound ice dam that was created right over our wolf enclosure and leaking into the public space and endangering our exhibit pack. The DNR's engineer has also recommended a complete replacement of our HVAC system that had 58 days of inadequate heating and cooling in 2020, followed by 73 days in 2021. We've moved ahead with some of the priority projects, recently identifying $150,000 of Wolf Center funds to be used to replace the chiller in our main visitor space this spring. But we're asking the state to step in and provide $1.525 million in support for the rest of the system replacement, along with other critical infrastructure projects. This support will allow us to continue our important wolf education work. It also will help protect state assets and should reduce the overall drain on DNR staff resources resulting from the consistent small repair jobs that the failing systems create. The International Wolf Center has appreciated over 30 years of partnership with the City of Ely, St. Louis County, and the state of Minnesota as we celebrate and highlight one of our state's most iconic species and help foster tourism to a really important part of our state. We ask for your support to allow us to continue this partnership for decades to come. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, and thank you for making the trip down.
Yep.
Senator Hoffman. Senate File 859.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. This is the Dayton Wellhead Treatment Plant's bond issue and appropriation. Members, Dayton currently provides untreated water to its residents, which only meet primary standards of the Minnesota Department of Health and not the secondary standards. Dayton is the fastest growing city in Hennepin County, just to let you know, Madam Chair. And it currently has 3 separate systems that provide water to its residents, one of which is provided by Maple Grove, is treated and meets all the Department of Health standards. The other 2 do not, and it's discouraging to not provide the same quality of water to all residents in Dayton equally. Dayton is constructing the first of 2 wellhead treatment facilities, and this project was just initiated 2 years ago. Total cost, Madam Chair, is $14 million for the 2 facilities. Federal funding's at $4 million and has been aware, but a $10 million remaining balance is not attainable by the city. The city is therefore asking us for $6.9 million, and the city will fund $3.1 million of the project. So that's not asking for the entire funding, Madam Chair, but just an equitable assistance to aid in providing safe, clean water for all residents of Dayton. And Zach Dowd, who's the city administrator, is here, and he can take questions for the next 45 minutes from you, Madam Chair.
Or the next 2 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Dowd.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Senate Capital Investment Committee. My name is Zach Dowd, and I'm the City Administrator for the City of Dayton. If you do not know where Dayton is, it is directly located between Champlin and Rogers in Northwest Metro. Dayton is at a critical turning point in its life cycle as a city, as we turn from being a rural suburb of the Twin Cities to being a developed suburb of the Twin Cities. As Senator Hoffman had mentioned, the City of Dayton has grown immensely over the last 5 years, more than doubling our population that we had maintained well more than 25 years in a row. In early 2020, we began planning to construct a water treatment system for both systems that are supplied by Dayton Water. However, we ran into an alarming rate of increases, as a one-time water treatment plant was at $30 million by the time we got done. We changed our gears to be able to do a more affordable option, which would be 2 wellhead treatment plants that we had started planning at a $4 and $3 million value. By the time we got to this with COVID, the cost had skyrocketed to over $7 million per wellhead treatment plant. With only $4 million in the federal funding, which had been mentioned, and just over $3 million in city funding, we are roughly short $6.9 million of this $14 million wellhead treatment plants. This is where the request comes from, and $6.9 million ask is to help us supply clean and safe water that meets all secondary standards set by Minnesota Department of Health and Environmental Protection Agency.
Mr. Dowd, are you eligible for a Public Facilities Authority, loans or grants?
We are, but we are not on the current plan at all for that.
Okay, and what's your population now?
We are currently over 10,000 people. We were 4,500 for over 25 years.
Wow. And what are your water rates monthly?
They are double than Maple Grove at this moment. So we're 360 something per 1,000 gallons. So if we have to put that on our residents, it's going to roughly almost 50% increase on our rates in order to fulfill that need for our residents if we have to fulfill a $10 million bond. So roughly our rates would be 5 something per 1,000 gallons if we had to put it on a bond for our residents.
And that's with, in the city money, the 3.1 will be a bond?
If we can use just $3.1 million of city funds, we would not bond for the entire thing. We would just use cash and then not put that on our residents to increase rates.
Currently, can you just give me a monthly rate for water? Do you know that? Not average usage?
$80 $80.
$80 a month just for water, or does that include sewer?
Nope, that is just water.
Okay, all right, that's helpful. That's a lot, that's high.
It is very high.
Yeah.
Yep. That is why we know that it's needed for the funding, and that's why it's requested.
All right, great, thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you.
Senator Hoffman, 2036.
2036, the Anoka Rum River Dam reconstruction and repair work. Members, hydroelectricity power is not a new concept to the Anoka Rum River Dam. There's actually a handout that you have in your packets that shows you what the city of Anoka goes through. What we try to do is from 1880 to 1931, the dam included turbines. 1935, the dam was purchased by the city of Anoka, and one major benefit of hydropower generation is the ability to generate electricity 24/7 without depending on the sun or wind. In the interest of time, Madam Chair, I have Lisa Lacassi, who is the Public Services Administrator, City of Anoka, with questions, and Jeff Weaver, who's a City Council member for the City of Anoka. And this is our second stop, Madam Chair, so thank you.
Thank you. Who is going to speak?
Lisa Lacoste, Public Services Administrator, City of Anoka. We have had a dam in Anoka since 1854, and we would like to continue to operate a dam in Anoka. For the past 80 years, our dam has served not only as an attraction, tourist destination, highly valued fishing location, and source of river recreation, but we would like to put it to work for us and put it to work for the community to generate hydropower, to provide some additional new recreational advancement in the community, and that is really what is pushing this request. We'd like to do some
feasibility studies to determine what improvements we can make to the dam. We've got some safety issues and operational considerations that we would like to remove from the hands of our crew and put that into an automated system, as well as look into the possibility of a boat passage or some other way to get boats above and below the dam without removing it, and or habitat for fisheries for both the Rum River and the Mississippi River.
Just a question, Ms. Lacasse, then this is just for the feasibility study, and then how would you pay for the $11.95 million?
We are putting together a funding strategy currently, looking at a combination of both federal and local grants, as well as city funds to help assist in the funds.
I didn't hear you say state funds.
And state funds.
Oh, she did say state funds. All right.
That would be something we would come back for in the future.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator. Senator Hoffman's next bill then is 2704.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. And just to give you a heads up, the North Metro Mayors Association on all three bills that are in front of you support all three that are there. If you have any questions, they're there. Brooklyn Park Community Activity Center renovation bond issue. The Community Activity Center was originally constructed in 1983. That's a great year. That's when I graduated from high school. And it features an ice arena, locker rooms, offices, and a banquet room. As the Brooklyn Park population boomed, and to support the growth of girls hockey, a second sheet of ice was added in 1997. Right now, today, the Brooklyn Park Community Activity serves more than 400,000 people annually at its 2 ice arenas, 2 large banquet rooms, the racquetball courts, senior activity center, and the shared use space with the National Guard and Fitness Center. Madam Chair, and due to the there's declining hockey participation, and so what we're wanting to do is create this pre-design planning on the inevitable need for renovation. And with me is Brad Tolberg with Parks and Rec Director for the City of Brooklyn Park, and our brand new mayor, Hollis Winston, who is right here to the right of me, Madam Chair.
Welcome, Mr. Mayor. Is Mr. Mayor going to speak, or is Mr. Tolberg?
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor is going to speak.
All right,
first.
welcome.
All right. Well, thank you, Madam Chair and committee. Just quickly, this is
Just reintroduce yourself for the record.
Hollis Winston, Mayor of Brooklyn Park.
Thank you.
So this is an ask for $5 million. The total cost would be $12 to $15 million, and really this is about change, not even changing, but change demographics, and then with that comes different needs and change priorities. And so when we look at the surrounding area, we look at Osseo, Champlin, Maple Grove, all 3 neighboring suburbs, they all have ice rinks. And the city of Maple Grove has passed a local option sales tax to expand the Maple Grove Community Center, and they're going to add another sheet of ice. And then Champlin is also considering doing the same thing. We have the Brooklyn Park Athletic Association and Park Center traveling basketball. And so they are often trying to use space at our local high schools, but there's just not enough capacity. So this is to address part of that issue. And what would happen is we would be adding 3 basketball courts, volleyball, and some pickleball courts. To go along with that, we would have to expand some parking, locker rooms, facility entrances, and a few other things. The reality is this fits into a larger public safety strategy. So we've been meeting with Brooklyn Center a couple times a month now. And if you recall, a few weeks ago, about 6 youth were shot in Brooklyn Center. We've been talking about how do we get more resources around youth. And so as we see those change demographics, we know that for a lot of our youth, they prefer to play basketball versus hockey, and it's much more accessible than hockey for a number of our youth. So for us, this is part of a larger strategy to bring more offerings to youth. And we're actually pouring not just into this, but into youth facilities throughout the city. We plan on pouring quite a bit more money. So this is important, not just for youth, not just for community, but it's also part of a larger public safety strategy that we are working on with Brooklyn Center as well.
And so you're not sure about the total cost yet? So you're still on the design
the total
stage?
Cost would be the total cost for this facility would be $12 to $15 million. Yeah.
Right.
Probably
Okay.
more like 15. I think, and you might want to speak to this, Brad. I think we kind of put that because inflation has been kind of
Everything's been going up, right?
Yeah.
That's true. All right. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Senator Fateh, we're going to start with Senate Bill 2428. Pillsbury.
Oh, the Pillsbury bill? Okay.
Okay. All right, you just took up 30 seconds.
I apologize.
With the hug.
Thank you,
Senator
Madam Chair.
Fate.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. SF 2428 is a bill for Pillsbury Creative Commons, a nonprofit located in Minneapolis that has statewide, regional, and national impact. Pillsbury Creative Commons is the expansion and renovation of one of the agency's flagship community centers, Pillsbury House and Theater, into a technical arts training center and creative campus. It will be home to world-class theater and house, serve, and support a myriad of community arts and media initiatives, including an expansion for KRSM Radio that will now have street presence in the community. All the while, it will continue to meet the basic needs of its immediate community through its fully licensed daycare, day program for adults with disabilities, bike shop, and mechanic training program for youth who are houseless, and meal programs. There is an opportunity for the state to make an investment in the future of a beloved and impactful community arts institution that has been essential to a strong and equitable creative economy in our state. It is also an opportunity to help create a pathway into high-demand, high-wage technical arts field for local youth whose families currently have some of the lowest incomes in the state as the current workforce ages out, while also supporting economic employment pathways for adults of color through training and mentorship programs. Here today to tell you more about the project is Pillsbury House and Theater Director, Signe Harde. Thank you.
And welcome, Ms. Harde.
Thank you. Greetings, Chair Pappas, and to the members of the committee. My gratitude to Senator Fate, as well as Senator Mohammed for their support. I'd like to set the stage. We are on the cusp of catastrophe in a society where people who don't look the same, think the same, or move in the same way can't see or hear one another. You're politicians. I think you know something about this. So how do we function as a society or a democracy even? You're hearing compelling testimony from across the state about much needed investment, roads, clean water, and more. I'm here to talk to you about a need that undergirds our ability to solve problems, heal trauma, and build equitable communities. Where do people go to learn about each other, cultivate empathy, and activate their creativity to dream the world they hope to see and make? They come to Pillsbury House and Theater, KRSM Radio, and Full Cycle. Together, we are meeting the need, the void left by countless lost organizations. Pillsbury United Communities is seeking this appropriation for Phase 2 of the Pillsbury Creative Commons. More information in the materials that we have provided. Phase 1 is already funded by a mix of public and private dollars. We expect construction on Phase 1 to be completed by the end of this next year. The Wallace Foundation, in fact, has committed $3.7 million over 5 years to help build not just the physical structures, but the human and programmatic infrastructures as well. We continue to have statewide impact. As you know, technology and creativity shape our lives. There's a workforce behind every performance, conference venue, and Minnesotans deserve to have access to that economy. Through our new training program and industry relationships, we plan to support 100 apprentices annually, preparing women and BIPOC individuals in our community for high-wage jobs. The heart of Pillsbury Creative Commons is a village common space where community can gather to co-create solutions to real-world problems, find space to heal, and ultimately knit our community and our state together. With 50,000 community members served annually and broad support from our community and our city council, we welcome your partnership and hope for your support.
Perfect timing. Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for all this information. All right,
my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, 3095.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and again, members of the committee. SF 3095 is a bill that would provide an allocation for Southside Community Services that will help fund a new integrated community clinic and wellness center to serve underserved low-income people in Minneapolis. They have outgrown their existing locations, and this allocation would allow them to increase their access by 40%. The new location would also provide many other advantages. It would enable better visibility along Lake Street, provide easier access to public transportation, allow for expansion of evening and weekend hours, and provide greater collaboration with nearby community centers. With me today to speak more about the project is Kalika Bible, Director of Operations at Southside.
Welcome. Please reintroduce yourself for the record.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kalika Bible. I am the Director of Operations for Southside Community Health Services. I want to thank the committee for hearing this bill today, and thank you, Senator Fatia, for introducing this bill. I am here today to encourage you to support Senate Bill 3095 to further our mission to improve health care within our communities by providing access and exceptional care. Our work is essential in bridging the gaps between the community and our continuity of care within our healthcare systems. Expansion is critical to meet the needs. Southside currently provides services in 2 separate facilities located 1 mile apart. The distance impedes the optimization of fully integrated patient care, causes limitations to our hours and access. While our current facilities have sustained and met the needs of our over 9,000 patients, we know that there are over 50,000 more low-income residents in our service area that are not receiving care at Southside, have access limitations, lack insurance. Our vision for the future is an integrated health care community center and wellness location located at 1010 East Lake Street in Minneapolis, just east of the Midtown Global Market. The name of our project is Southside United, reflecting our plan to improve multiple services under one roof with extended and weekend hours to meet the needs of our community. The project will allow Southside Community Health Services to increase our facility capacity from 11,000 square feet to 30,000 square feet. The expansion will provide community members with easy access to primary care services located off of major bus routes and also provide for convenient parking. The space will allow Southside Community Health Services to offer additional evening and weekend hours that are essential for patients and parents and children that may not be able to take time out of school to meet appointments. Additionally, we will be able to expand the scope of our services to our community members, offering more diagnostic and laboratory services that can lead to early identification and treatment, including a mammography suite. It is important to note that Southside is also seeking financial support from federal and local governments to build this new facility. Last year, Congress funded this project in the omnibus spending package passed in December 2022. We have also secured corporate and foundational investments for this project. The healthcare needs in our community are not limited to primary care access, but also oral health and dental services, mental health care needs, and those suffering from substance abuse disorders. Southside Community Health Services is in a position to expand these services if given the opportunity to build this new site.
Thank you, Ms. Bible. Can you tell me the total cost of the project?
The total cost is estimated at $30 million.
$30 million. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Senator Fate. We have Senator Champion. Oh, wait, you have one more bill. Sorry,
Yes.
Senator Fate, one more bill. Senate File 1853.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee again. SF 1853 requests a $20 million allocation that would enable East Phillips to buy back the 7.6 acres of the former Roof Depot site from the city of Minneapolis to support East Phillips neighborhood and Little Earth of United Tribes' vision to create a community-owned urban farm and community center with good jobs, affordable housing, and healing economic development. It is especially appropriate for this very low-income and majority BIPOC community to make this request. It follows up on the 2016 appropriation from this legislature through deed to East Phillips for $319,000 to create the East Phillips Neighborhood Institute and begin this project. That funding was passed to provide the first planning, community organizing, financing, and architectural drawings for this infrastructure that is urgently needed to help overcome the toxic environmental pollution already threatening this neighborhood. That work has been done and would especially help reconnect East Phillips indigenous residents back to the land. The racially disproportionate environmental health burden on East Phillips residents has been well documented as some of the very worst in the city and in the state. You'll hear a brief testimony about that and the fact that Minneapolis declared environmental justice a public health emergency. Please keep in mind that this neighborhood is in the South Side Green Zone, an area specially designated by the city itself that requires more protection and actual reduction of toxic environmental pollution and increased investment in life-saving economic development to heal environmental injustice. Furthermore, in 2008, this legislature had already passed a new state law requiring that a cumulative impact analysis must be done for any new environmental pollution in this environmental justice neighborhood, making stricter environmental protection standards apply. Next, you will hear from one of our testifiers, Rachel Thunder, who will describe more about that injustice, especially as it impacts the Native American community in East Phillips neighborhood.
Great, welcome, Ms. Thunder.
Hello, my name is Rachel Thunder. I'm Plains Cree First Nations. I'm with the American Indian Movement and the Indigenous Protectors Movement. Thank you to Chair Pappas and members of the Capital Investments Committee for hearing our bill. I also want to thank Senator Fate for carrying this bill, and for the community members who are here in support today that I would ask at this time to stand up briefly so that we can acknowledge them. This bill that is before you not only would be momentous for the state of Minnesota in urban ecological restoration, creating green jobs for Minnesotans, and combating environmental racism, but this bill would also set a national precedence for urban land-back initiatives. The Roof Depot warehouse in East Phillips sits on arsenic-contaminated soil. The city of Minneapolis's plan of demolition of the warehouse would not only expose South Minneapolis to a toxic plume of arsenic, but would also see the addition of a City Works diesel truck yard of up to 888 vehicles brought to our community. 83% of East Phillips residents are BIPOC, and 32% live below the poverty line. State and local governments' data shows that the people living in the neighborhood are disproportionately impacted by pollution in Minnesota. East Phillips contains a former federal Superfund site and is a state-declared environmental justice area. Fine particles from air pollution contributed to deaths of adults 25 and over at a 37% higher rate than seen on average in the metro, according to the Minnesota Department of Health. To combat the ecological and economic distress our community faces, this bill would allow an alternative to the city's proposed plan. Our initiative would not only prevent arsenic exposure, but it would create affordable housing for 188 residents, generate an estimated 570 jobs, provide the city and state more than $3.6 million in tax revenue, and provide incubator spaces for small businesses. Our plan exemplifies the broader bill's aspirations of agriculture, employment, and economic development in Minnesota housing, finance, and redevelopment. As Indigenous people, we have cared for this land for thousands of years, and now as your constituents, we ask that you do what the city of Minneapolis has failed to do, to provide and reaffirm that our people, our communities, our relatives, the plants and the animals, and all human beings, including yourselves, have the right to clean water, clean air, and self-determination. This initiative is small business and community-led, having raised over $10 million in private investments, as well as identified more than $9.7 million in eligible grant opportunities to fund this project. This community project and development requires state funding and intervention because 3 times the city of Minneapolis has denied our communities the right to free enterprise by raising the price of the Roof Depot site from $5.7 million to now $15 million over an 8-year period of time. If we had been supported in our initiative, the East Phillips community would have already generated an estimated $159 million in direct and indirect income as a result of green jobs in our initiatives to the state of Minnesota over the past 3 years alone. Sitting before you is an opportunity to right the wrongs of environmental injustice and racism our people have endured, and an opportunity to choose the people, the communities, and the earth over further toxic pollution, poisoning future generations, and hindering the economic development and growth of Minnesotan communities. I'm going to read to you a short statement from Cassandra Holmes, community member and EPNY vice president.
I'm sorry, Ms. Thunder, that we've run out of time.
Okay,
so I
I'll
can't
pass
have
that
you read the
along to you,
statement.
and you can
We're
view it,
happy to have
so-
a written copy, and you've given us a lot of
Okay.
great information
Thank
about.
you. I just want to thank you for your
very
time and your
exciting
work
project.
and your consideration, and that you have the opportunity to be on the right side of history here.
Thank you so much for your testimony, and thank you all so much for being here today. We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Senator Dibble.
Thanks. I won't take any time. I just wanted to express my thanks to Senator Fate for bringing this bill, my support for this proposal, for all the reasons that have been well expressed already, and also wanted to recognize our good friend, Representative Karen Clark, who's been such a champion and leader of this and for this entire community in this area.
Thank you for my negligence in not introducing Representative Clark, who I first interned for back in like 1983. So thank you for being here. Thank you all so much for coming and having such a well thought out proposal that's so comprehensive and so important for your neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Senator Champion, Senate File 961.
Madam Chair and committee, thank you so much for hearing Senate File 961. We will be expeditious. This Senate file would provide $1.5 million in general funds to purchase land and complete Phase 1, which is pre-design, design, and acquisition for Appetite for Change capital project in North Minneapolis. This facilities will be owned and operated by Appetite for Change, and will provide access to food, workforce development, urban agriculture, and health and wellness services. Phase 1, they've already identified locations, and this space will increase safety, access to jobs, food, and community social connection that is crucial to building wealth on the north side. With me, I have none other than Daryl Lindsay, who's the Vice President of Social Enterprise for Appetite for Change.
Thank you. Good afternoon, committee. My name is Daryl Lindsay. I'm the Vice President of Social Enterprises for Appetite for Change. In the very short time that Appetite for Change has existed, it has been very, very impactful in our community, being able to hear the voices of the community members and develop programming and workshops that meet their needs as well as improve their quality of life. Right now, much of our programming is scattered because of the fact that we need space to do the programming because it's mostly face-to-face. By acquiring a permanent home, we will be able to put together a central campus whereby all of the programming and workshops for Appetite for Change will come under one roof and one space, and community members will be able to access it. We believe that by doing so, we will give the community exactly what it has asked for, and we appreciate your willingness to entertain this for us.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. Thank you, Senator Champion. All right, next one. We've got Senator Bolden with SF 2450. Senator Bolden.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. Senate File 2450 is a bill that would provide state funding for development of a heating and cooling energy distribution system for buildings in Rochester. Specifically, this would be for regional public assets of the Mayo Civic Center, Rochester City Hall, Rochester Art Center, Rochester Civic Theater, and Rochester Public Library, with the capacity to add additional public and private developments on other nearby property sites in the future. A key part of this project is the renewable energy sources component, particularly geothermal and replacing of building controls to keep public buildings that serve the region with visitors and users from around the region and state. This is an exciting example of a project that aligns with the priorities of the legislature, Rochester, and the state around energy efficiency, renewable energy, and climate. I'll note appreciation of the letter found in your packets for this project from Fresh Energy, and I will turn to Mayor Kim Norton for more information on this request.
Mayor Norton.
Thank you so much to the committee, and Madam Chair, it's good to see you again. My name is Kim Norton. I'm Mayor of the City of Rochester, and I want to thank Senator Bolden for carrying this bill that's included in the governor's budget. We were very excited to see it there again this year. This is for a municipal district heating and cooling energy system. And again, it was in last year's bill that was not forwarded, and so we are back to you again, asking for your support. This project is seizing upon an opportunity that we have to build something that's really forward-thinking, and not just replacing old technology, but really looking to the future and using renewable energy. At its core, this project is going to provide a more efficient way to heat and cool our buildings. It uses geothermal and also sets the stage for other renewables in the future, and this will be a 50-year investment. As you've heard when I testified here a week or so ago, the City of Rochester has adopted very aggressive energy goals of 50% by 2030 and 100% by greenhouse gas reduction by 2050. And we're also, our municipal power agency has adopted 100% renewable energy by 2030. So this project fits right along with the direction that we're headed as a community. It also hits the triple bottom line of providing economic, environmental, and social benefits. I think it's worth pointing out that this would result in all the buildings that you heard, our city hall, our library, our theater, civic and art centers, and they will be net zero by 2030, and that's about 700,000 square feet, plus the possibility of an additional 900,000 square feet with private businesses being able to hook on at some point in the future. This project is scalable and adaptable. And we are very excited with the geothermal possibilities as well as solar PV and other emerging technologies that may come along. Finally, we want to share our commitment to share this information that we're gaining with this new district energy concept with the rest of the state and others so that they might learn from the work that we'll be doing. We're very excited. We are asking for the committee's support, and I do have Scott Ramsey, which is our project manager for the city. He's our property and facilities manager to answer any questions that are technical in nature and that I might not be able to answer. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Norton. And can you tell me the total cost of the project?
The project's $23 million. We're asking for 18.9. This was a cash request because it is not bondable due to its the district nature of district energy, which is not bondable by state law.
And you know we usually like a 50% match.
We do, and Scott can maybe address some of the financing if you would like to hear more. We do have the council, our city council's approved $15.6 million on the project that's underway, and if additional state funds beyond that $15.6 million are available, then we could add additional renewable energy improvements, including the district part of this, which we cannot do now.
We actually have renewable district heating and cooling in downtown St. Paul.
And do you have geothermal?
No, wood waste.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's other districts. Yeah, maybe Scott Ramsey can
Great.
answer the question.
As long as the bell hasn't gone off, you can keep talking.
There you go.
Sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any more information you have? I don't have a lot of information here. I'd appreciate.
Absolutely.
Any more background? Great.
Sure.
Thanks about
Terrific.
the project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Senate File 910, Senator Seeberger. I think we're going to finish.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm here on Senate File 910, which is a really cool project in downtown Minneapolis. It is called the Firefighters for Healing Transitional Healing Center, and I want to thank Senator Dibble for sending this bill my way to carry. I'm honored to carry it. This center provides housing, transitional housing for families of burn victims who are seeking treatment at HCMC in their burn unit. They have transformed lives. They have provided housing and comfort and emotional healing to families who are dealing with significant medical conditions on the parts of their loved ones. You'll see that Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association, Hennepin Healthcare have submitted letters in support of this project. And I can also represent that Jenny Glumack from the Minnesota Rural Electric Association called me today to ask that I indicate that they also support this and find it a worthwhile endeavor. Senator Dibble and I had the opportunity to tour this place, and it is amazing. I have Jake LaFerrier with me here today, who can talk to you a little bit more about the project, the needs of the organization, and where we're at.
So, Mr. LaFerrier, welcome. And this, you already have an existing facility?
We do, Madam Chair. Yep. We opened it February 1st. I can give you a little bit more context and background on the organization. As Firefighters for Healing was born in 2010. I was a Minneapolis firefighter following my dad and serving my civic duty, where there was a house explosion that me and my crew got caught in trying to save some kids from the U. Jumped from the 3rd floor on fire, survived this experience, ended up in Hennepin Healthcare as a patient. Initially, they were trying to save my life. And through this experience, I was touched by 2 little kids that really changed the trajectory of my life, from not being able to be a firefighter anymore. That led me into advocating for kids that have been badly burned. That grew into a burn camp up in Cross Lake. Then after that, grew into housing. So we have the greater Minnesota families coming here to our level 1 burn unit, trauma unit. And today we provide free housing for them. And it's essentially a Ronald McDonald House for burn survivors, firefighters, and now we've opened it up to any first responder. And it really will be, this is our 4th go-around, our 4th session. We're gracefully and humbly asking for support. We've done a lot of the private fundraising already. We have just half of it verbally committed. And getting this support will change this into be more of a legacy, and we'll take our dollars from being bricks and mortar and debt, paying off that, and putting it to these families. I'll just share one little thing I just got sitting in here from one of our families. Thank you again for everything. Words not can express, will never express how much we appreciate this organization and you caring. You truly are a blessing. We have 12 units here, and we stand behind these families. We love them, and it's not just a space, but a place of healing, a place of love, and a place of compassion. So I will open it up for any questions that anybody may have, but humble ask here, and a 4th go around, and we'd appreciate anything we could get, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. LaFerrier, and thank you for all your work. So in the 2020 session, did you get funds during that session?
Nothing.
Did not, because I don't remember you on the
we've been going on this. Nobody could come to an agreement, and then there was a surplus, then there wasn't, then the pandemic put things in kind of pause.
So you have an existing facility, and how many units, suites do you have?
12.
Existing? You have 12?
Yeah.
And then the new one will include also just 12?
It'll be 12. It'll be the existing one we have. The one that we operated in from before was apartments. So we acquired this February 1st. Yep.
So you've already acquired the facility?
Well, we didn't acquire it. We didn't pay for it. We're 7% of the larger building project. So we're able to kind of operate in terms of trying to get this funding from the state, and we'll be able to move forward. If not, anyway, not a good thing. So.
Okay, I think I didn't quite understand, but we'll have to talk more.
The funds will help us acquire the space
just the space, what you're in now and what you need, and it's just too many details for us to go over right now.
Oh, yeah.
But it would be helpful to have that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Have a good rest of your
Great
night.
project.
Thank you.
Senator Dill.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to briefly express my support. I think it's actually, it would be embarrassing if the state didn't come in and support this effort with some level. When Senator Seeberg and I were touring the facility a few weeks ago, we met families from all over the state of Minnesota. So this truly is a statewide resource, and they do absolutely phenomenal work for these families, supporting these burn victims as well as emergency responders who are in health crises and their families as well. I would encourage everyone on this committee to go take a tour. You will be really, really impressed, deeply moved by what they're able to do.
Great.
Just to clarify the question you were asking, the facility is almost set. You know, they do need some resources to make up the gap that they're experiencing. They've come to the legislature now. This will be their 4th time. And I just can't imagine why they haven't received the support that they have been asking for and they need, because this is just so foundational and fundamental to what we should be doing and what we should be supporting. Thank you.
Right, so I just wasn't clear about, you have an existing facility, but you want to move into a different facility.
Madam Chair.
No. That's my lack of understanding.
Right.
It's okay.
No, they had kind of a hodgepodge of other facilities, you know, apartments that they rented and the like. Now they've consolidated into this facility.
Right.
And it's been stood up, and it's, you know, it's going to, you know, they're already serving people, but it'll be finalized within a few weeks, you know, completely finished up soon. That they're still experiencing a funding gap, though, and that's why they're here asking for some resources. So they're in the new facility. They've raised almost all their money that they need for it. They still have a gap, and that's what they're asking for.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. And I'll just say it's the first of its kind building in the U.S. Actually, it was built after an old firehouse. So we got a lot of our artifacts in there. Is that? Thanks, Senator.
Thanks so much.
Madam Chair, I'll just add one more thing, if I may. This is to support, just a block or two away, accessible by Skyway, the Hennepin Healthcare Hospital burn unit, which is one of the premier burn units in the country. I don't know if people understand just how phenomenal that facility is, and the fact that now this facility that supports the families, because, you know, when people are in the burn unit who are this severely injured, they're there for a long time. And so it's situated perfectly to support, from the community perspective, the work that's being done over there on behalf of those burn victims. Thanks.
The county will be supporting the Skyway. They're going to be paying for that, actually, in collaboration.
Okay, thank you very much. Senator Herr. Senate File 1092.
Madam Chair, yes, I'd like to testify to be here at the table too. 1092.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, my name is John Mobeck, and I am the Executive Director of the National Loon Center in Cross Lake in the beautiful Brainerd Lakes area of Minnesota. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak in support of Senate File 1092, which would enable construction of the National Loon Center via a grant to the City of Cross Lake for $8.65 million. Thank you to our bill's chief author, Fong He, and to its co-authors, including Senator Pappas, Senator Housley, Senator Friends, and Senator Eichhorn. The mayor of Cross Lake was going to join us today via Zoom, but in the interest of time, we're going to move a little faster. The National Loon Center is dedicated to restoring and protecting loon breeding habitats, promoting responsible recreation where loons thrive, and serving as a national leader in advancing loon and freshwater research and education. The National Loon Center will celebrate and protect the clean lakes that are home to the beloved loon, our state bird and a key indicator of the health of our freshwater ecosystems. The world-class National Loon Center facility will add to the appeal of the Brainerd Lakes area as a tourism destination in much the same way that the International Wolf Center has benefited Ely and the National Eagle Center has lifted the economy in Wabasha. It'll be a significant national visitor attraction, infusing millions of dollars into the Minnesota economy in tourism spending, while adding more than 100 valuable local construction jobs and dozens of permanent year-round jobs in a rural resort area. The building will exemplify sustainable place-enhancing architectural design principles while inviting the public to enjoy a uniquely immersive loon and freshwater experience. It will incorporate diverse educational initiatives to engage many audiences with a focus on underrepresented communities in Minnesota. The National Loon Center received a $4 million grant from the Legislative Citizen Commission on Minnesota Resources to launch the building project in 2019. It then navigated the uneven pandemic years while building robust educational programs that engage thousands of people today. During that time, the National Loon Center completed phase 1 of the project, which included the installation of docks, boardwalks, and outdoor exhibits, as well as a long-needed shoreline restoration project. Can I continue?
I've had lots of conversations with Mr. Long about this project, so I'm pretty familiar with it. So thank you so much, and I appreciate the information, and it sounds like a very ambitious project. Hugh, do you still need to acquire, you have the site, but you still need to prepare the site? Is that correct?
Phase 1 of the project prepared the site.
Oh, it
and
is
the plans
done.
are in
Okay.
place, so it's a shovel-ready project.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Hers, Senate File 640.
Thank you, I'm honored.
It's hard to be at the end because we're coming on 5 o'clock here.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make an amendment to this amount, but we can do it.
I thought you didn't need your amendment.
I don't need, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So Proceed was founded
That's what you told
27
me,
years
right?
ago and has expanded its service to address education, health, and economic development needs in St. Paul Eastside community. This investment will further the commitment of the community with youth after-school program, college preparation courses. And it'll provide place for Eastside youth to engage STEM camps and activities, and it will house a health clinic to address the tragic health disparities, primary care, infant mortality, and youth mental health crisis, et cetera. They had done enormous great work. I can be a #1 testifier for them. I'm glad that they locate in my district, and this will solve a lot of issue of disparity. And I'll pass to my testifier.
Thank you very much. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Hello, my name is Reverend Melvin Miller. I'm senior pastor at Progressive Baptist Church and the president of the St. Paul Black Interdenominational Minister Alliance, and I'm an executive board member of Proceed. Thank you, Madam Chair, and the Capital Investment Committee for this opportunity. I'm here in support of Senate File 640. I certainly want to thank Senator Baumgartner for his support as well. As has been mentioned, Proceed is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It was founded 27 years ago to support struggling children and families on the east side of St. Paul by providing wraparound services, essential wraparound services that are interconnected. And essentially there are 5 distinct areas that Proceed focuses upon: employment, education, youth enrichment, health, and civic and community relations. As relates to employment, Proceed has employed hundreds of Twin Cities citizens through its job fairs, youth programming, youth internships, and felony-friendly partnerships. It has also, in the last 20 years, has raised over $1 million in support of its college fair, college tours, and currently gives about $30,000 a year to college students going off to school. One of the key partnerships is a new relationship with MHealth Fairview that has been brokered, and a clinic will actually be in the youth complex to address the health needs there on the east side, which is a healthcare desert. So we're just asking for your partnership for capital investment of $6.7 million to design, construct, furnish, and equip a new youth center on the east side of St. Paul. And the current price tag on that is $8.4 million.
I'm sorry, Reverend Miller, do you have the total project cost?
It currently is about $8.4 million, but because of inflation, there's a likelihood that it'll be more.
We usually require a 50% match,
Yes.
just so you know, right?
Yeah, and we're pretty confident that's going to be, that number's going to raise, so.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much, and thank you for being here today. And sorry we don't have more time, but please, I followed your website, and you're really doing great work. So.
Madam Chair, for the record, can I just introduce myself for the record?
Please just introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Dwayne Dutrell. I'm a proud principal at Hazel Park Preparatory Academy, and I'm also one of the executive board members for Proceed, Inc., serving as its treasurer.
Wonderful. Wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I go to the next bill.
Our last bill, we're just going to talk briefly about the carp barrier project.
Yep.
And I understand we're just going to hear from Mr. Clark, and then we're going to hear from the DNR, and then we'll be done.
Okay.
All right.
Madam Chair, invasive carp moving up the Mississippi River and presents significant threat to Minnesota ecosystem as well as people and boaters. Once the invasive carp is here, they cannot be eradicated. So we must act now, and I'll pass to my testifier.
Welcome. Just introduce yourself for the record.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. My name is Whitney Clark. I'm the Executive Director of Friends of the Mississippi River, and I realize I'm the only thing standing between you and spring break, so I'll make this very brief.
It's like lunch.
As you may be aware, we are facing a very looming and urgent threat of invasive carp moving up the Mississippi River. You may have noticed in the news 2 weeks ago the largest capture of 30 silver carp just below Lock and Dam number 5 near Winona. Minnesota is home to one of the leading invasive carp researchers in the world, Dr. Peter Sorensen from the University of Minnesota, and he has for the last 10 years with state resources been researching solutions to manage and deter carp. He has carefully researched and published research and has a design and engineering study for a solution that would be a barrier located inside Lock and Dam number 5 in Minnesota. The deterrent barrier in that location would protect the Mississippi, the St. Croix, and the Minnesota rivers from infestation from invasive carp. One thing that is very, very important for the committee to understand is there is no plan B. We do not currently have methods or activities that will prevent carp from reproducing in the river as far north as the Twin Cities. And the DNR's current activities, just nobody thinks that will keep them from getting this far. So the plan is supported by a very large coalition of conservation and angling organizations, as you'll see in your packet. We've included also in your packet a petition signed by more than 900 Minnesotans from all around the state, and we would urge you to include this in your package. Thank you very much for the time today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. And now I'd like to hear from the DNR Assistant Commissioner, Mr. Bob Meyer.
Madam Chair, members, for the record, Bob Meyer, Assistant Commissioner, DNR, and thank you for hearing this important bill today. We did have a conversation about this bill last week in Senator Hur's committee, and we did actually move forward on some of the proposals that were in that bill in his legislation. We appreciate that. The bill proposed by the Friends of the Mississippi River infers that the DNR would own and operate the system by passing the funding to the DNR. We have not been involved in any in-depth conversations about owning or operating this facility with the Friends, and we have concerns about undertaking this effort without funding in hand. The operational costs are unknown at this point in time. Right now, the cost estimate is between $13.2 and $22.9 million from the Barr engineering report that Dr. Sorensen has contracted with. That range of funding is concerning to us, and also there's no discussion of operational costs within that proposal. The Army Corps of Engineers will not be able to examine or begin permitting or environmental review on this project until there is a 50% build design estimate in hand, which is going to take a few months, probably half a year to get to that point. We're concerned we need to see those estimates before we move forward and see what the actual costs are and talk about operational costs. The possible operating costs of this facility located at a federal facility could far exceed our entire invasive carp operating budget that we have on an annual basis. So that's a conversation we need to have with the legislature as well. What we are recommending, we're beginning to undertake the process of a structured decision-making process, which is a formal term. Basically, it's a facilitated discussion with all the stakeholders involved. It would involve Dr. Sorensen, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Army Corps of Engineers, United States Geological Survey, Friends of the Mississippi River. There would be room for the legislature to participate in that conversation as well as other states and professors that have been studying invasive carp to get everybody's questions on the table, go through the design, determine that everybody is supportive within the scientific community, the academic community, and the regulatory community, that this is the right thing to do before any money would be expended for construction. So we appreciate the conversation here. We look forward to funding, hopefully, for that design work to continue and continued conversations about the operation and ownership of the facility once it is designed.
And we would like to help do whatever we can to move the process along and insist with this, because we know that we don't want the carps to be any farther north. So anything our committee can do to push it more quickly, because I know this design work has to happen and the environmental studies and getting everyone on board, and let's just try to move quickly to get that done. Senator Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to kind of echo what the sentiments you just expressed. If I could ask a question of Mr. Meyer.
Please do.
Thanks, Mr. Meyer. Sincere question, not a gotcha. I just don't know. What has the agency and or the governor proposed in his budget on this subject?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Meyer.
Madam Chairman, Senator Dibble. Currently, right now, is the continuation of our invasive carp budget, which provides for sampling and removal using the modified unified methods below these locks and dams, monitoring the river and these water sources for all terrestrial or all invasive carp life forms to determine if we do have a breeding pair here and continue our work. And also, we are funding that structured decision-making process out of our existing budget in the process of finalizing that contract to get stakeholders on board to come back with a proposal that everybody is on board with that address the operational and ongoing ownership issues. The current proposal that we heard in Senator Herr's committee last week would have had the facility being designed and operated by a third party for a period of 5 years. At that point in time, we would need to come back and address for additional funding into the future. So that the ownership, the operation and maintenance of the facility, having put its state investments into a federal facility, the lock and dam is owned by the U.S. Corps of Engineers. All of these things need an in-depth discussion, not only with state stakeholders, but our federal partners as well. We want to do whatever we can as soon as possible, and we are committed to doing that.
So I think, Senator Dibble, the frustration is that we've known about this invasive carp problem for a while and just wish that those discussions and that plans had already taken place so that we were ready to move forward. But we're certainly prepared to do whatever we can, like pay for the 50% build design plan so that it can now move rapidly forward.
May I ask one
Senator
follow-up?
Dibble, please.
Thank you. Yes, I think I first started hearing about invasive carp in 2009, 10, or 11, if I recall. Now we have 30 carp that were found last week in the pool below the lock and dam that Mr. Clark just mentioned. So, Mr. Meyer, how long do we have until the carp find their way to the interior of Minnesota? And does the process you're describing give us enough time to address that before these invasive carp? And kind of the implied question is, does the story from last week increase your level of the sense of urgency on the part of the governor and the DNR?
Assistant Commissioner Meyer.
Madam Chair, Senator Dibble, we've been conversations with the legislature on this issue since 2004, actually, talking about it. Governor Dayton had an invasive carp summit, several of them, talking about what to do. The conversation that back then was about an electric barrier, bioacoustic barriers as well. We've been trying to get some traction on what is the best thing to do for a long time. Research has been out there. It's been explored. What we're doing is going from applied research to implemented technology, and we need to make sure that we do that with our eyes fully open. The Asian carp, the invasive carp that we found just recently, they were of the 2016 year class. We're pretty confident they breached the locks and dams during the floods of 2019. And we're confident that we've caught most, if not all of them. Our commercial fishermen have given us information that they think that they've done a good job at eradicating what was there. And we're going to be doing another modified unified method capture in about 3 weeks. We'd love to have people come down. If you're interested, it'll be in the news as well. We do feel we've caught what's there. Even if you were to fund the dollars today in this bonding bill for construction, it needs to have the 50% design work done before the Army Corps will begin looking at permitting it or actually begin environmental review. That's going to take, I can't tell you how long. They estimate 6 months, but I can't tell you how long the environmental review will take from the Corps of Engineers. Sometimes it takes longer than that. Then there are design work that needs to be done. The earliest construction I've seen would be 2025, perhaps 2026, based upon building and cost making sure, I don't think there's any contingency funding in this appropriation for cost overruns, so there would be a need to come back to the legislature for that. And frankly, we have a concern about just what this would do to our operating budgets as we're continuing. Senator Herr's bill does not fully fund our operating adjustment into the out years. We're $12 million short just on that alone. So taking on this new responsibility is something we need to do with our eyes wide open and in conjunction in conversations with the legislature.
I think we need to adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for staying an extra 10 minutes, and have a great break, and the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.